So to start, we have a new version, Magic XPA 4. The main part of, or the lead part of version 4 is our new web application framework. So, going to go over our solution, our overview of the solution. We'll do some demo. We'll talk a little bit about migration, the business model, and training materials that we can provide. This amazing picture that presents that the star are all lines is here to actually tell us that really for us Magic, the star is all aligned now and we can achieve what we want to achieve. Meaning, over the years, Magic always tried to come with an amazing solution to the web development. And when we talk everything is ready, we talk about JavaScript, CSS3, HTML5, Angular 2 and up. Basically now we're using Angular 6, TypeScript, cloud and internet performance. All of that is giving us the option of taking Magic, connecting it to the Angular methodology and tools, and you get endless functionality and endless opportunities. Really, the sky is the limit. We have an amazing opportunity to succeed, again, because everything is now playing to our favor. Our goal in Magic XPA 4 was actually to deliver a native web application. And we say native web application is really, we are purely Angular application. We don't put any tricks, anything that is not standard. We are putting a pure Angular application with a set of our JavaScript. We are going to stand with all the leaders in the front of the line. Now we're doing some kind of a leapfrog, and we're jumping really to be on front, to be on the top of the line with the leaders, with the greatest and latest technologies of the web enablement. We can connect everything, we can use everything that you can see on the web. Really, nothing is stopping us from making and building an amazing web solution. We're not going to limit anything, we're only going to add functionalities and ease of development. But we are not going to limit anything from the web development. The client that is deployed in the internet will be released probably every 2 weeks. And the idea behind our tool is really to allow digital transformation. Now I want to be clear with everybody what we are saying when we say digital transformation. In a way, we think digital transformation and we say, hey, we're doing digital for the last 50 years, so what is the digital transformation that we're talking about now? It's important to understand that when we say digital transformation, we don't mean that the industry or the clients will use technology. For instance, if I'll take my bank, if my bank working with computer, it's not digital transformation. Obviously, it's working with computer, again, for the last 50 or more years. But the fact that I can do all my business with my bank via my mobile phone, this is digital transformation. And the digital transformation is actually for the consumer to consume services from the different business providers. Okay? So the idea here that we want to enable our customer to allow their end users to have the digital experience. Now, it's not secret that we in Magic thinking for a long time, okay, what is our future? Where are we taking this Magic XPA that started 35 years ago with a no-code development environment, provided amazing solution over the years, but where are we going next? And what we looked is on different technology, the technology of JavaScript, the technology of TypeScript, Angular, Node.js, which is a full new world that is new to us. And when we looked, we found a few nice things. For instance, if we look at the equivalent that we have in the Angular or Node.js or JavaScript world, which is NPM, in the last 5 years, they created almost or more than 700,000 packages with the average download per month of 20 billion per month. Now, when we looked, we realized that this platform actually is giving us cross-platform technology, mobile delivery, speed and performance, productivity, and we decided, hey, you know what? Looks like Angular and JavaScript and TypeScript is the right direction. So what is Angular? Angular actually came to address a common problem that a lot of us tried to address before. And the idea is that we want to develop once and deploy it on multi-devices, multi-clients, multi-machines. It can be a mobile phone, it can be a tablet, it can be a desktop. I want to run it in the browser. I want to run it as a desktop application. I want to do all that, but still have one piece of code. And this is what Angular is providing us, a full framework that you can develop once in one technology, and it runs seamlessly and the same way on all different devices. Another thing that we see that is coming to the world, and this is one of the stars that are actually aligned, is the concept of single-page application. Now, what is a single-page application? A single-page application came to the world of web development in order to give a very smooth experience for the user. Something similar to the WinForms, that you don't just go and see page submit, page refresh. You want to see that you have a one place, one screen, and your application is running in this one screen. We try to do it again with the RIA, as others try to do it with the RIA, but Angular and JavaScript brought it and took it really to the best implementation. Now, when we look at an Angular application or a single-page application, just a minute, we can see that the client itself is sending a request to an HTTP server. The HTTP server is sending back an index.html file. This will be the first time and the only time that the server will give us back an HTML page. From that moment, the client is responsible to generate what the user is seeing and all the business logic that is running on the client. Okay? Nothing is going back to the server beside data request, typically in a JSON format. But from that moment, there will be JSON of data going back and forth between the client and the server. When we use HTML5, we even have the option of using with a local storage and working without going to the server. We do not support it in the first version out of the box. As I mentioned, you can definitely do it like any Angular application, but we do not bring this functionality from our side. You can, of course, use it if you know how to implement it. When we look to the history of web development and what happened in the market in the last few years, we saw that when we started developing website, 1,000, 2,000 lines of code of website was considered to be a big website. And then we started to have applets and Ajax and a single-page application and web app and composite web app, and slowly number of lines of code become bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, when we say lines of code, we're not talking about the HTML part or the CSS. We mainly talk about JavaScript that gives you the user experience and the client-side logic. Now, in the last few years, Microsoft came up with a tool with the name of TypeScript. TypeScript is the way to write JavaScript in a typed manner way. Now, a nice story is why Microsoft invented TypeScript. Actually, the team that invented TypeScript is the team that developed the Visual Code IDE of Microsoft. The Visual Code IDE is a JavaScript-based IDE. Now, they realized during their development that they invest 70% of their time just understanding their own code. That means that they invested most of the time to understand what they did in their own code, and they realized it's unmaintainable, it's not realistic, we cannot move forward and we cannot grow with this type of development. So they invented TypeScript. Actually, the same person that invented C# is the guy that actually built and invented the TypeScript with his team. Now, what is the concept of TypeScript as opposed to JavaScript? In JavaScript, you can write A equal 5, and the next line you can do A equal A plus Yuval. In the first line, A will be numeric, and in the second line, A will be alpha. JavaScript have no problem with that, and it's amazing. But again, maintaining big web application with million lines of code or more, it's unrealistically and it's unmaintainable. And we see the market is adopting framework like Angular, like React, like Vue, and other frameworks that are coming, and the whole purpose of those framework is to allow ease of development and ease of maintenance. And hey guys, you know what? This is what we invented 35 years ago. Okay, that was the magic idea, how we can write business application in an easy way, okay, and maintain it for a long time. And we actually proven that it's possible and we can do that. But now we can actually do it without any limitation because of all the technology that is available for us and the beautiful implementation that our R&D team implemented here. So what are we delivering to the market? We're taking our N-tier technology deployment, which is our RIA and mobile technology, where we have clients that is communicating with web services that are going to our in-memory data grid, that is communicating with a Magic Engine that goes to the database and bring information back to the client. What we are now adding is our new client, which is Angular and HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. The beauty about this client, as opposed to our previous client, is that this client do not require any pre-installation. It is a set of JavaScript like any web application, any Angular application, that the client itself as a set of JavaScript will just be downloaded to the device, to the browser, to the mobile, etc., without any pre-installation. Now, in order to provide this technology and these tools, what we had to do in our technology. So in the studio, we needed to add another task type. The task type is web client. Now, this task type is built on the RIA task type, and that means that the development methodology is similar to the RIA. The idea is that we cannot have record main compatible, and we cannot have physical transaction, and we cannot have physical locking, and there is a clear decoupling between the client and the server, and all of that we know from RIA will come into place inside the web client task. Another thing that we made a decision early in the process is we are not going to control the UX and the UI of the application inside our IDE at this time. In the future, yes, we are looking to provide another layer that will give you some WYSIWYG, but for now, our form designer is purely to do data binding, control binding, and event binding. Okay, we declare the screen, we do not impact how it looks. When we'll go into the code, you'll see that we don't even have the properties of colors and font or style in our web client form. Okay, this is not relevant anymore in our IDE. And then we added another layer, the Magic Converter. The Magic Converter is taking the metadata of the screen that we defined in the web client task and generate Angular component and a full Angular solution out of our project. The basic idea behind this converter, at least in the beginning, will be for the customer or developer to have functional testing of his code. That means that the Magic developer can write the Magic code in Magic Studio, creating a web client task, generating the code, and he can fully test his application, logic, data, everything, without even writing one line of HTML or CSS or Angular. Okay, so it is similar to our Control G, but with much, much more functionality. But I do not expect to see any application go live or go public using this auto generator, and that's it. Okay, it's only purely for functional testing and have some kind of a starting point. The beauty of this solution is also that we made it extendable. Okay, actually our customer can take it and extend it and put their own logic inside this template structure, and they can generate their HTML much closer to the way they would like to see it at the end, from functional, from UI, from element, for classes, and etc. And I do expect that our customer will start building solution and share between them, and maybe going. Now, once you have your Angular project, you need to go to the design, and then you need to switch to the web designer. You need to know HTML, you need to know CSS, you need to know a little bit of Angular. If we look at the Magic developer that do not have knowledge today with HTML, CSS, and Angular, if he wants to do a full application end-to-end, will need to learn it. On the other hand, it's not mandatory because you can break the development process to two different teams. Okay, you can take a web designer that can actually implement all the web design on the application without knowing anything in Magic. So it's not mandatory, but again, you cannot just work in the Magic Studio without knowing anything about the web development and expect to deliver a full working Angular-based application. Now, if we look at our client, what are we providing in our new client? If we look at the Magic server that is communicating via the internet, and then we have the browser that is calling the Magic engine. We created a layer of Magic Engine which is purely JavaScript. It's actually written in TypeScript, but it has nothing to do with Angular. The idea to have a generic layer that represents our engine, that in the future we can add different frameworks like React or like Vue or any other framework that will come into the market, which will be adopted by the web community, and we can just add another connector layer or API. Today we're coming out with our Angular API layer, which again, it's an Angular, that the purpose of this layer is to connect between the customer component of Angular, of HTMLs and CSS and TypeScript, to our Magic engine. So we expose all the functionality that we want to expose via the Angular API. Now, the part of the component, this is what we generate automatically per project, per screen actually, and this is what we expect our customer to enhance with the HTML and CSS work that they're going to do on that. The idea is really to have beautiful application, beautiful look and feel, fully responsive, fully detailed, that we can have really as a basic, not basic, sorry, but advanced and standard web-based application. So, as we all love to see PowerPoint, let's see some of the things behind scenes. First, let's see that it's working. So let's refresh our screen and see that actually I can see information. Yeah, and it is working. And first thing I can say, as I mentioned, it's fully responsive. So if I'll shrink the screen or if I'll take to play with the layout, and you can see, okay, it's coming from a small screen to a big screen, and everything is still functional and everything is fully responsive. Again, the way the developer planned to have it responsive. If I shrink it down and do right click, sorry, not right click, click, okay, I see that everything is still working and fully functional. In order to have this application, what do I need? I need my Magic code, and this is my Magic application. And inside my Magic application, what I can see that I have my set of folders that represent my application. In my travel folder, I have my main form, which is travel main form. Inside this main form, if I'll go and look a little bit on my task structure, I have some data view with a link to a table. I have some logic here, and I have my form. And when I'll step into my form, I can see that I have something that is subform that will be my main canvas that is representing the single page concept. And here I have a picture and some buttons, but actually the way it looks here, it's not really relevant. It's even easier to look at it here from the document outline. In the document outline, I can see all my control and the relationship between the control, and I can see that I have a subform, I have a text label, I have a group control that has some buttons and an image. Now, if I'll go to my Angular project, which is this one, okay, let me zoom here so you can see better. Okay, I can see that I have an Angular project here, and the structure of an Angular project is basically a set of declaration files. Under the source file, I have my asset, environment, and app, and the same index HTML that we talked about. And by the way, this index HTML, I can here add some links if I want, but at the end of the day, what we see that we have is this one, app root. This is a standard Angular-based development. App root is actually pointing to this app component TS. This app component TS is saying that, oh, use this app component HTML. This app component HTML say, hey, please run Magic, okay? And this is where we start. Now we can start here, we can start in any other place, by the way, in the Angular project. It doesn't have to be here. But the minute that we put this tag of Magic root, this is the time where Magic is, or the Angular project will call to the Magic, and we'll start activating the Magic. Now, when we call to Magic, we have in our program a place where we define what is the start program of this project, and then this program will launch. I know obviously that it's the travel, and under the Magic folder, we can see the same folder structure that I have in my Magic project. Okay, if I look here, I'll see again the travel and the utils and the edit travel, and this is the same thing that I have here. Now, if I'll go to the travel, I'll see my two programs, and if I'll go to the main form, I'll see the component which is typically structure of 3 files. Forget about this one, it's not relevant. And then what we have a TS file, that this one is declaring actually the beginning of this component, and here I have the important part that says, oh, you are actually a Magic task, okay? And you use this HTML to present yourself. So this is the services that you know to do, and this is the HTML. And now I'll go to my HTML, and inside my HTML, I can already see what we see here in the browser. So if I look, I'll see that I have here my form name, and then I have here, let me just shrink this one, I have here a background image that is going to my background, which is this beautiful mountains that I have here. And then we created some kind of a block, and again, this is pure HTML CSS, the class of main menu. This will give me this blue line that I have here for the menu, and then inside I have the Magic menu group, which is actually representing my control. Sorry, let's go here. Representing my group here, and you can see the name menu group. And now I can start seeing my Magic icon, the main home, which is, sorry, this one, and the set of buttons that I have here, which is represented by Magic directive and B packages, B airports, B hotels, etc. Now, what is this Magic directive and the name of the Magic control? The minute that I give this directive, this is the way I connect this element to Magic. So I need to take the Magic name of B packages, which is my control name that I can see here, okay? And I connected to my code here. Now an A element in HTML knows how to get the click, and this is where we see here that I can be here. If I'll be in a submenu, go into my edit, click on packages, I'll go back here. Now what happened behind scenes? Actually Magic got the information that this element of B packages was clicked, and from that moment all that we do here will take place. That means that my event of user event packages will be launched, and that means that my logic here of B packages will be executed, and I'll call the B go-to manager, and the go-to manager will do some logic and will go to this one, and this one, based on the parameter, now will actually execute this program in this destination, my main canvas. Okay, that means that it will be executed here in this block. Okay, now this block is actually what we see here. When I'll press the edit, something else will be rendered in the same block, and again this is the single page application concept. So the minute that I'll take an element, in this case that knows how to get click, I will execute. If you look at the fact that I can be here and go to my submenu and click on packages, but I can also click on the image and do the same. Now, how do I do it? What did I do in my HTML code or in my Angular code? I actually didn't do anything. I just have this image that is connected to this magic directive with the main home. And that's it. Didn't need to do anything else, because in my magic code, what I actually have, I have an event of click on main home, okay, which is doing raise event of packages. So if I'll go here into my controls and I'll park on main home, I'll see that this one has the control name of main home, which is connected to here main home. And from that moment, the events that I can get from the browser will go to my magic engine, and the regular business logic and flow that we know and love are being executed. Now if I'll dive a little bit deeper, okay, I'll go here into my subscreen. I will go to this screen. Now this is another program here, and this is the program that we're calling in the main canvas. Now you can see that I see tiles here, but it's actually records in my table. And usually in Magic we're used to seeing a data view in a table control or maximum in a tree control, but we're not used to see it as cards. So how does it come into place in my Angular project? So first let's go to our travel request program and see what we have here. Here we have a little bit more of data view and a main file, some logic, and again my form. And when I'll go to my form, what I'll see some controls. Let's go to the document outline. I see an image, okay, which is an add plus image, and then I have a table with one column and a set of controls inside this column. But this is actually my loop, my recursive information. Now let's look in what we have in our Angular application. Okay, let's now go to the travel request, and we'll go to the HTML of travel request. And what we can see here is that now I have some kind of a big div, okay, which is everything that we see on the screen, which has the class of card wrapper. Again, I have no idea how it's working, what it's doing. I mean, now I understand what it's doing, but really, it's purely HTML, CSS. It has nothing to do with business logic, purely presentation. Now, the first block that I see here is actually representing this plus element that I can click, and then it will call a magic event, and here we give a warning, but I actually executed the code in Magic. Now, this is not part of my dataset. I don't have this line in my records, okay? And I don't want to have it in my records. So how did I do it? I just put it in my HTML, just put a block here, and it will be presented. So it's mat card with the add card class, and the button is actually magic app plus add plus image. Look at it. This is a button. In Magic it's actually an image. But you know what? I don't care. Okay? Because all I need to do is connect to the Magic directive and my control name, an element that knows how to handle a click. And the minute that I'll get the click here, on this button, okay, and it is button, by the way, because we want to have this effect, as you see, the blurring effect, etc. And again, purely presentation and user experience. Has nothing to do with logic. But then when I go to Magic, I see that I have this image under the name of add plus image. And if I'll go to my logic, I'll see that I have a click handler on add plus image that is doing raise event on add request. Okay? So look at the beautiful decoupling between functional, business logic, application logic, and user experience and presentation layer. Now, if I look at my screen again and I see here the edit that I have here, and I look inside the Magic code, I'll see that the edit is actually parked here. It's not under a submenu or anything. It's part of my same thing that I see on the screen. Okay, I have here the edit that is doing raise event of user event of edit packages entry. And when I look at it on the screen here, it's actually, I don't see it as the same block here. I see it under a submenu. But again, it has nothing to do with logic. It has everything to do with presentation. And if I look at my Angular code, what I'll see is that I have here, now I'm starting, by the way, what we call ng4. This is the way of Angular to do repetition of blocks. Okay, so all this block will happen how many times? The times of my task record list. And this is my data view. Okay, so that means if I added the record and refreshed, if I deleted the record, if I filtered on a record, added range, all the beautiful things that we know and love from Magic and controlling the data set will come into effect on this loop. Now inside this loop, I can do whatever I want. And what I want to do there, I actually want to do cards, okay? And I want to put each column, and this is my column with this bad name, but this is my column. And I want to repeat this column as a mat card. And inside I want to have a label that is connected to the Magic description text. This is what you can see here: visit to Israel, contract signing in Bangkok, etc. And this is the text that you see here. And I get this information, by the way, with this structure of code which says mg get text of Magic control. Okay, and here we have another new thing. This is the raw ID. What does it mean, raw ID? It means that now when we have ng4 and we're going over different records, obviously I want per each card to see different text because it's a different record in Magic. So I need to point it to the raw.raw ID. Okay? Now how do I get these three dots and the submenu? I create here another div with the class of menu wrapper, and inside this menu wrapper I have this mat icon button with the name of more vart, which actually this is what making it looks like these three dots. And inside I have a button with the name of Magic Be Edit. Okay, so this is where I connected to Magic, and that's it. Now I don't care how many levels down in my UI or UX it will be placed. At the end of the day, I get this Magic Be Edit with the raw ID, and from that moment, whenever you click something here, okay, on the edit, I'll go and raise the event of the edit for this relevant record. Okay, so you can see again amazing decoupling between user experience, UI, and business logic. One last thing that I'll put you here is look at those icons. Okay, you can see that for this record, for instance, I have plane information or flight information, hotel information, restaurants, and here I have flights and car. Here I have flights, hotel, and cars, and you see that it's being placed very nice, smoothly next to each other with each relevant icon. Now, if we go to the Magic code and we look at, for instance, on the car image, the car image has visible condition. Now, this visible condition, if I put it into my screen, it's actually the link success criteria for the record that we can see here. Okay, so here if I have a car, I'll see that this one is the link, the R is the success criteria for this one. Okay, so in my Magic, I have a visible condition which is recompute and recalculated based on all the things that we love in Magic. But inside my Angular code, what I'll do, I'm going into my car image, and the only thing that I need to put is this one, style display, mg get visible for car image for this raw ID, because each record can have different one, and that's it. And this condition will be recalculated for each record, for each recompute, etc., and will come into place. Okay, and the fact that I can put them next to each other, it's already an HTML technology, because if this image do not exist, for instance, the hotels and restaurants, then the car will be in place. I don't need to do anything. And all of us magicians, we know how much we would have to work in order to achieve this one if we want to do it in a simple client-server application or RIA application. So, that was a short demo of technology and our beautiful solution that we are providing now on the web development framework. We are working to provide some tools automation and automate as much as possible. We are going to do a lot of how-tos and even provide some code analysis tools to make the process easier. We are putting up now a team in India, which will be our delivery team, and this delivery team is going to take responsibility on some big migration project. The idea with this delivery team is to have a knowledge center, to have their capabilities, and we're going to work with partners that we can trust, partners that knows our new technology and knows the Angular technology and can help other customers to do a successful migration projects.